Hi there, I'm Bonnie, Log Cabin Stitcher. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my sewing room. And welcome to my journey in 2022. There's a lot of things that have changed for me in 2022, whether I liked it or not. And I am rolling with the punches and finding positive things that I can implement and do. And I was recently at a place where I saw a sign and it said embrace the journey, and I had seen it before, but I really looked at it this time when I went back there. And that's kind of what I want to share about, is learning to embrace the journey even though I have a lot of life changes going on, and being victorious as much as I can every day, and just doing life. And my hobbies are a huge part of who I am. Somebody was asking me, how many hobbies do you have? And I said 5. And then it was like, oh no, 6, because I see this FlossTube community as another one of my hobbies and something that I can jump in and out as I need to. So there has been a lot going on in my life, and I'll share that with you a little bit at the end. But I have 2 stitching finishes, and I am finding right now that I really like being, I don't know if it's a monogamous stitcher, because I do switch around a little bit, but I really do love staying in the groove of a project and finishing it. And that's kind of new for me, because before I would switch around all the time. So as now I am a year and 4 months into this FlossTube world, back into cross stitching after several decades, I'm really finding my my groove, my comfort zone, and I think a better balance in my life. So what have I, oh, and I have a lot of corrections from my last FlossTube. I will explain at the end why I've been a little bit distracted lately, but I have been distracted lately, and God's grace is getting me through lots of things. I wasn't expecting the tears, so here we go. But a lot of corrections because my brain is like all over the place. So let me do the corrections from FlossTube number 45. So one of them was, let's just kind of introduce as I go through. How am I going to do this? I'm not going to start over again because I have a lot of projects that I'm working on today. One of them, I was showing, it was my whips, my whip parade, and it was just funny because I said I had 31 projects. Well, I went to cross off one of the things that I finished that I'll show you, and that wasn't even on my list. So I actually had 32 projects, which isn't a big deal for most people, but this is me and my life. And I really find that I would prefer to be in the 20s. I would never want to go back to my 20s in year-wise, but I would like to stay no more than 29 works in progress, because like I said, I got a lot of active hobbies. But one of them that I shared was, and I have not stitched on this, but this is what I had shared that I'd stitched in for my whips. Do you see what I see? I don't have a color picture of it because I'm trying to, there's a lot of life changes that I'm doing, and one of them is trying to be more frugal. And so I'm not printing off colored pictures when I don't need to, because we are preparing for early retirement. That's huge and that's exciting. But anyway, do you see what I see? It's a beautiful, simple pattern by Primitivestitchin. So the G is not on the end, and it's on Etsy. And I have not made my project bags for months, even though I've intended to, because I have been on this incredible decluttering journey that has become a huge part of my life, and that's what's taken up much of my time and changed me inside and out, and I really like it. So anyway, this is my project bag for that. So that was a correction. The other correction was a quilt pattern that I said I'll put that in the show notes. Well, I'm very distractible in the best of times, and so this, and I I'm either going to combine the quilts at the end of this or do a separate video depending on what I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of girl. So this is the quilt pattern that it's the quilt that I shared, and I said I would put the pattern in the show notes. So I will show more of this at the very end, but it got a lot of people interested, and then at the end or on a separate quilt video, I will show you my mom's inspiration for me to do that pattern. Oh, good grief. Where is that pattern? Oh, Bonnie girl. Bonnie girl. Oh, here we go. I was going to think, I'm going to push stop. Nope, I don't want to do that. Okay. Goose on the Loose. It is available from Fabric Essentials. And I want to say it was maybe $7, but this is the information. It is designed by Carolyn Beam. It is a very, very old pattern. I don't know. I want to say my mom and sister were doing these, probably 2019. So about 22 years old, but it's still available. It's still a beautiful pattern, and it's funny. I have made several of these. One of them I made 2 patriotic ones just as tester ones. My sister made one very similar to this, and she also is making another one. And my mom made 1 or 2 like this. So it's a fun pattern. And I used the Quilt in a Day Eleanor Burns Flying Geese rulers. So I will probably end up doing a separate quilt video, hopefully. And again, if I don't, I'll be back eventually with that. So that was one correction. Oh my word. I got a lot of corrections. And it's hard. It was hard for me doing a WIP parade because there's so many things that I want to show. And I want to get all the information out, but not too much information. So I was trying to go a little fast. But I showed this bag that I made. And I think I said it was garden time. But no. Here is its harvest. What is it? Harvest time. So harvest time. Let's see if I can actually take it out of here. It is an old pattern, and it is available on Country Stitches online. So very old pattern, and I changed up the colors a bit, and I put it on a project bag. I do have a lot of questions about my project bags, which I love my project bags. Now, for all of you that are new, I have a playlist on my channel. I have a lot of playlists on my channel. I love sharing resources. And I have a playlist of project bags. Now there's a ton of them because I keep thinking, oh, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. The very first one is the girl that I learned from how to do the zipper project bags. And that's this type. I just enlarged it. I want to say I enlarged it an inch wider so that I can get the books in and out easier. But I learned from hers. It's where you have the binding. It's simple. The binding goes up and over, so it's not a separate binding. This is a great one for especially non-quilters. But it's just a faster way of doing the zipper project bags. So that's where I learned from. And then I also have, I think it was FlossTube number 41, part 2. It's all on the bags that I do. And I talk a lot. I just do. And, but I did share the dimensions in that drop down box. Now I know I've got a big project that I'm preparing for, so there's a good chance I may not even do any show notes on this one. But if you check that one out, that would be a great place to start. Then the other project bags that I make. So this way of doing a zipper with a flange, or you can even leave the flange out, and it's a bigger bag that can fit a lot of stuff in here. This is a book that I have like 4 projects prepared for in here, and that is from the book Stitched Sewing Organizers or Sewing Projects by Aneela Hoey, Aneela Hoey. I use that as a resource. I've made many projects from that book. I just enlarged it. And again, all those measurements are in that one drop down box from that video number 41. The other one that I get questions on is this one. Again, it is just enlarged, made from that same book, Stitched Sewing Organizers by Aneela Hoey, and she taught me how to do. It's a great. It's basically many sewing classes all in one book, and it should still be available. I think I just bought it last year, so that is an amazing resource. I do enjoy project bags, and I am a collector, which is very funny in the lifestyle that I will be sharing, that I have been moving towards, and it's taken a lot of my time on moving towards minimalism. All types of different minimalism lifestyles. You see all the stuff behind me, and I am moving towards it in my way, and I'm embracing it, and I'm loving it, and it's taken a lot of time. So again, I'll share about that later, because I want to share what I have actually done. Now, when I did my whips, I only had a little tiny bit of this one done. This one is by Christy Green. She is Daisy K's Primitives on FlossTube. Where is that pattern? I have the pattern that I actually printed out, but it's called Old Glory. It's under the pile here. Daisy K's Primitives. It was done on 32 count white Zweigart. I coffee dyed it according to her FlossTube. Look at her FlossTubes. Look at click the videos, and then you'll see coffee dyeing, and I use the call for colors. So my thing that I have been sharing, if any of you have been visiting me regularly, are my sewing boxes, and I am loving those, and I want to make a sewing box for every season. So of course, those of you probably said, what the heck, you're a minimalist and you want to have all these? Yeah, I do. And there's a groove for me in that, and it's so cool. And again, I'll share about that later. But I'm going to make a sewing box, and all I did was I wanted to see, can this fit? So I just put it up, and actually I can put it up to the window right now, and I could see, yes, it fits. You don't see the shadow, but yes, it fits very well on this. And this is going to be the top of the sewing box. These are simply from Hobby Lobby. So I know that's in the United States, but they're called plain card boxes. Cheap, so you got to really be careful about the ones that you buy. But hopefully in any country or any area that you are in, you're going to be able to find these if you're interested. Check and look at all the thumbnails, because I have several that I have done and really enjoyed. Now, when I do these, I like to have one area that has a pin cushion. So my thing at the end of 2021 was stitch what you got, because I had done an excess of purchases. And that's kind of what primed the pump for me to go into this minimalist lifestyle. Purposeful lifestyle. In that I bought tons, and I had tons, yet I still wanted to buy more. And I just thought, this is not healthy for me. And so what did I do? I went through a very, very old pattern that I had back from 2 decades ago, I think, when I was doing cross stitch. And I am going to do this, but I just have to make it a little bit shorter. So I'm going to be working on that. That is going to be the pin cushion. So that's going to be fun for me. And I really enjoy planning, designing, measuring, doing all the little details. I love all the little details of the sewing things that I do. So when I do that, and again, I have quite a few finishing items. So for the different things, I have chenilles, I have laces, and then from the days, because one of my hobbies is doing bead jewelry. And again, I keep saying again, I don't want to do that. When I got into beading, I got all in, spent way tons of money, but I have that for the rest of my life. I will enjoy doing that as long as I can see, and I'm having trouble with my eyes. So taking care of my eyes so that I can keep seeing. But I had this ribbon from when I was doing the beading, and it's still available. This is, I got it from Beadaholic, or Beadaholic, whatever it's called. and this was the information. So it was on sale, see, $3.16, 2 centimeters ribbon. And it looked like this. It was folded over like this, and you could use it to make jewelry. Well, it wasn't dark enough and grungy enough, so I coffee dyed it and made it grungier and yummier, because I love really primitive. So I am going to work on that, and I am even going to just try to use the paints that I have instead of buying. I was going to go and buy blue paint, and I thought, I don't need blue paint. I got red paint. I'm just going to do that. And then I do the brie wax, and I have the Tudor Brown brie wax, which is a stain wax. And it's a darker one because I like dark. There's lots of different color ones. So that is one finish. We shall see when it gets done, because I am working so hard at decluttering my house that I haven't had as much time for stitching. Now, the other thing that I finished was this one. When I showed my whip parade, this had only had like that much done. And I loved the colors so much. They were so soothing, and it was Valentine's Day-ish for me. So come sit down, just me and you. So it was kind of appropriate when I bought that pattern. We had recently become empty nesters, so I was thinking about that. And then now my husband and I have been talking about early retirement and possibly moving to Colorado. Let's see if this is even plugged in. Yep, we are. In the future. So there's just plans, there's just thinking about, but it was just kind of fun that I was doing that during the time that we've been talking to a financial advisor and just thinking and seeing if that's what we want to do. So I have several frames, and I just wanted to frame it. So this is done on 40 count straw, the old Weeks base. So I was sharing, I'm not going to buy any more of the old Weeks base because it is very loose and gauze like, and it was harder on my eyes. We will see if it's any different when I get this Zweigart base, because all I have is the old stuff and I'm going to use it up. So I was playing around with what frames that I have. So I had this frame, and I tried this, and this is pretty much the colors of the antique furniture that we have in the front room. And I thought, well, that's pretty, and I do love that frame. It was inexpensive, probably at Hobby Lobby. But when I looked at this, it blended in. See, these colors really blended in with that. And I thought, well, that matches, and it's pretty. But then I tried this one, which I had as well. And even though, whoops, let's see if I can fold it. And this is what I really wanted to share with you. I have not gotten this finished yet, and I will. But it has a little bit more border top and bottom than it does on the sides. The pattern has, I have it in my other hand, how many hands do I have? I wish I had more. I have it on the table. But the pattern has 2 stitches of black all the way around this, or it's not black, it's this beautiful color, which these colors are amazing and I love them. But what I liked about this, maybe I can turn that like this. What I really liked about this one is that it pulled out this darker color, which I love. It's more of a charcoal. These are just DMCs, but it pulled out those darker colors. So I'm going to use this frame. And what I enjoy doing is, excuse me, I drank a bunch of water before I started this. I really enjoy having, we don't want lots on our wall. My husband started me in this journey of minimalism in the front room. We don't really have much of anything on the wall in there. So I want to switch frames out. I'm not going to have tons of stuff. Now I have tons of stuff in here, but in the front room, in the kitchen, in the hallway, I really like the peace of not having a lot of stuff on the walls. So I will sit them in frames, or I will have 1 or 2 things on the wall. But I really like these. I think are just 5x7s. So I can mount it, and then I can pop it out, and then I can put another item in there, because I'm going to be stitching a lot. And if I don't want tons of stuff on my wall, I really enjoy changing things out, like every month, maybe changing something out. So that's what I am enjoying about this. So let's put this away so those don't get marked. So those were 2 finishes, but not fully finished, but they will be when I get a chance. Now, these colors, so this is the pattern, Me and You. So let's go ahead and take it out. So La Di Da, Me and You, and I used the Called For, which were gorgeous. I had been looking at this, and of course I matched my project bag to go with the project, and these were DMC colors. And a lot of times I love the over-dyed flosses, but I get stuck in a rut of just wanting to do over-dyed flosses. But DMCs and anchors, they have gorgeous colors. These are, in my opinion, gorgeous colors. So this is the chart. See, this is what I ended up leaving off only because it would have made it look even more off center in that frame. So I didn't want to buy a special order frame. So I am just using these colors, but I was so inspired with these colors. Usually after I'm done with a project, I will put these back in my organization, but I thought I really want to do another project with these threads. They just gave me much pleasure just looking at them. And then if I'm staying with Stitch What You Got, there is the next project that I want to work on, almost like a companion piece, but this one is Peaceful Ways. And I had purchased this in 2020. I think at the same time I bought that other one. I love these colors, and this one does look very Craftsman. Our front room has 2 beautiful Craftsman antique pieces of furniture, and that looks very Craftsman to me. And it has a little bit color tone difference. So we'll see what I choose. I am not going to start that yet because, like I said, I want to get down. I want to do a couple finishes before I do that start. And I am 2020. I didn't plan this, but I am really seeing that I have responded to things I don't like in the world the last couple years in lack of, I've never been one for self-discipline. I'm indulgent, I'm emotional, and I realize that's not how I want to go into the future. And so I'm learning self-discipline, even if it kills me. So that's where we are. We're not going to start on that. But the other thing that I was working on was, let's see, Pineberry Lane. Let's take it out of the project bag. So this is the other whip that I've been doing since I did a video weeks ago. So, Token of Love, Redwork Sampler Pillow by Pineberry Lane. Now, I did practice self-restraint. So after I was realizing that I was just buying more than was good for me, mentally and financially. And so when I saw this on Kim the Contented Stitcher's wall, she had 2 patterns that I really wanted. I waited. I had them in my cart, and that's what I'm really working on. Waiting. Yep, I still wanted it. And so I bought this recently, and this is how far I got. I was enjoying that stitch. So I am doing this. It is Cranberry. So I've got Cranberry by Gentle Arts and doing the whole thing. And it is 36 count Beach Brew linen. And these I've shared before, like at 123 Stitch, you can just buy, it's 8 by 12. And I believe it's like $6. And so that's what I would do when I would want to test out a linen. And it's nice because I've got a small piece of linen and I've got lots of options, because I am finding that I really enjoy the smalls. It's just what I like to do. I do have a couple big samplers, but I tend to grab the smalls because I just like it. And I'm seeing that when I'm tired in the evening and I have a big project and I need to do colors, lots of colors and lots of counting, I can see why people really enjoy a monochromatic, is that the right word? One color, whatever that word is, a red sampler. I really see why that is attractive. In whatever color I would choose, I love red, but browns are my favorite colors. But you know, you've got you get to accentuate it. So I am enjoying that. And if any of you have visited with me before, I have shared that I've struggled with emotional balance, mental clarity all my life. It's just who I am. My sister and I were talking about that, and it's just how I do life, and I want to try to do life natural, and my hobbies need to help my mental balance rather than take away from it. So that's what I'm really working towards. All right, those are the cross stitch projects that I have. The other thing that, in case I have new visitors, because I've chosen that I don't want to talk about the numbers of my subscribers. It's not because it doesn't make a difference to me. It is very special to me, and because I'm a people pleaser, and I love when people value me, and that's what shows that people value me. But I'm not doing this for the numbers. I'm doing this for a connection, and I'm doing this as a way to give back to this community and to give back to this world. So in whatever way I can do that, I love doing that. But one of my very, very first videos was about my perfect stitching setup. And now it has been a year and a quarter, and I still love the setup. I am seeing that there could be things that are better, but I still love this setup. So if you go check that out, you will see this is my stitching setup. It has a light that I plug in. I sit right there and I do it. So it has this LED light. I was dusting with that. It has an LED light. It has a table that I can sit it on my lap. And it even has a, I have 3 needle minders, and I have scissors from my sweet sister. And this is my magnetic chart, and I love it. It works for me. But one thing that I'm seeing is I'm a hoop stitcher, and this hand, the muscles get sore. So I know there's a beautiful lap stand that I have been really tempted to buy, but going into my new life, I don't know that that's going to work the best for me. So I'm just using what I got, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm fine, and I need to take a break. So I mentioned that I'm having some trouble with my eyes, and because I wanted to go the natural route, and I did go to the doctor, and the doctor just said, basically, you're an old lady, and this is just what happens when you're an old lady. Well, he was young, and I'm like, well, you're not living my life, and I'm going to stitch forever and ever. So I am going to find some natural solutions. So I'm going to be working on that the next couple weeks, but I'm going to take like a 2-week break from cross stitching. I'm going to transition over, and I'm going to do some quilting and applique projects because they're not so intense on my eyes. So I have been cross stitching heavy for a year. Cross stitching is not attributed to that. I believe there's other things that have attributed to that. Stress is one of them. So I'm just trying something different, but I will take a little bit of a break from cross stitching. So this is the pattern. This was the Old Glory Daisy Case Primitives. Now, okay, so this is, okay, so this segment is going to be kind of the chatty part, and I want to show you, people have been asking me about my collection of Valdoni and collection of threads. So here we go with that. So as I'm working towards this declutter, it simply started with a decluttering. I even did, just a bit of a chat about decluttering and giving some items away of my mom's, and I gutted out my closet that day, and that started where I am now. And it has been incredibly intense, emotionally exhausting at the beginning, but now I'm hooked. I am hooked on decluttering. I'm hooked on the fact that now the floor in my bedroom is clean, except for the gecko. My son is getting the gecko soon, and then I will have nothing on my floor except the things that need to be there. And that's been a big change because over the past several years, my sister and I, mostly inherited much of my mom's stuff because she was a stitcher, she was a quilter, she was a bear maker. We got a lot because she was a collector. My grandmother was a collector. I'm a collector. And so I had a lot of stuff, and it was sitting in boxes in my bedroom because I couldn't deal with the emotional fatigue of going through it. Well, I have a playlist. I've mentioned this the last few videos, and people are asking me, who do I follow? Well, I have a playlist because I keep thinking, oh, I got to share this and this and this. So I have a playlist on this channel here, and I got a lot of playlists. This one is called like Downsizing, Living Little, Decluttering, because I got hooked on watching tiny house videos, which really helped with that mindset of not having so much stuff and the freedom of letting stuff go. Then I got into decluttering, and I just needed to learn how I could declutter and let go of sentimental items. I needed to get into that psychology of it because that is not me. I grew up, my grandmother and grandfather had this old house, and we used to joke around about it because the attic was just so full of stuff. We were like, man, one of these days the floor is just gonna give way and kill us all when we're visiting. But it was wonderful to go and visit as a treasure trove, and there's a lot of neat things that I got as a newlywed. I was the first grandchild to get married, and I was the only kid that liked old stuff. So, woo, that was awesome. And then my mom was a collector, and I always loved all her collections. And I'm a collector, but I am realizing it's like a sinking ship. You know, you got to get rid of some stuff or the ship's going to go down. And so that's where I was getting the stress of having stuff everywhere and not being able mentally to clear out some of my mom's things at first was incredibly painful to do. And now it is still emotionally challenging, but I am learning the confidence of doing it. I'm learning the benefit of it and then passing things along to other special members of my family and her friends. So I wanted to share that with you because a lot of others of you I know kind of click with me maybe because I share a lot about my mom, the loss of my mom 7 years ago, and all her stuff, and she was my best friend, and you know, it's that emotional tie. So I think a lot of you that do visit with me have that tie and maybe have a lot of those things that you might feel the need to let go of too. So please check out that video because that channel. I'm looking at my garden. Let's look at you guys. Check out that playlist. And you know, you'll resonate with some people and not with others. And so there are several, so you can just check them out. But I have really learned to value this. And my husband was kind of slow in going into it because he had one day where I asked him to clean out some stuff in the garage because we had room in the trash can, and he was going through some stuff. And he said, wow, this is really hard. And I said, I know, babe. I have been doing it for months. So now you can appreciate what I have been doing. And now that he's walked through that several times, now he's like, it's trash day tomorrow. Is there room in the trash can? And he told me, I like this. I like this thing that you're doing. I like this thing that you're bringing us into. So it's great. We've been in our house. We're going on 35 years. We have stuff crammed in the garage. It was my woodworking. I did woodworking as a business, full-time business. It was my woodworking workshop, sawdust everywhere, wood everywhere, product everywhere, and stuff everywhere. And so we would put plywood up in the rafters and cram more stuff up there. We had no idea what was there. And we just crammed stuff in there. Well, my goal by this summer is to be parking my car in that garage. There's a lot that needs to happen before that, but that is going to be my goal. So I keep looking forward to that. And that's the one thing, you have to have goals to be able to get you through the hard stuff. So the other things that I want to share with you are, as I am decluttering, I am learning, and you will learn if you start watching these videos and you start doing it. You ask yourself different things. Does this have a place? That's the big thing. Does this have a place in my life? Now that goes for stuff It goes for activities. It goes for people. It goes for a lot of things in your life. Does it have a place in my life right now? And the other thing that I learned actually from Ronald Banks was, is it worth the emotional cost for you? And that's what really helped me when it was very hard to let my mom's treasures go. That's what I realized. The emotional cost it was to me. Nope, it's not worth it. So what I would do is I would sort, and it creates a ginormous mess. So for months, I went through all the stuff that I had crammed in my closet and on the bedroom floor, and I was sorting. And I have a thrift store that I take stuff to. I have friends that I'm giving stuff to, or things just needed to go in the trash, or I would find a place for it. So before I was into organization, and that's where people say that are in the minimalist thinking, is you just need to de-own stuff. You don't need to organize as much as you need to get rid of stuff, and then you can organize. And that's what I'm finding. So I have all these piles, and then what I do is when I've sorted and I've taken stuff to the thrift store, which I'm doing like twice a week, I'm packing stuff and giving it to other people. Then I had the kitchen table piled with stuff. So here was my thing. I would pick some stuff up in my hand if they were small, and I had 3 responses: throw it away, give it away, or put it away. And I couldn't do any but those 3 things of those things in my hand. And so that's what I would just do. I would walk through the house and I would put it away, or I would throw it away, or I would put it away in the donation box. But I'm also contacting my friends and saying, do you want this? Do you want this? So it was very time intensive, and that's why I really haven't been stitching. So I want to share with you things that made it through the cut so far. So I have very special things. Now this room, I have all my collections, and this is a room that I have a lot of stuff in. This is my room. My husband comes in and visits me, but this is not his room. So I have a lot of stuff in here, and I can have it however I want. Now, my dad was a cigar smoker before his stroke, and see, we've used this for a lot of things. This was TV remotes at one time. So this is a very old, neat cigar box, water damaged, cracked. But see, I was thinking, how can I get rid of visually the visual clutter of all these pearl cottons? Well, it's in here. Now, that's what I am enjoying. I am enjoying having a specific place for things or looking at things. And I know I love old wood and I love brown. But then I also had these collectibles that were special to me. Now, Lisa Abbey was just talking about what she was seeing from other people about hearts that they had been making out of old quilts. Well, as I was sorting through, I've been getting these things for a long time. Like this, I probably bought when I was 22. You know, I've just loved old things. The light's coming in, and it's just an old, there we go, it's just an old quilt. Somebody made a heart out of an old quilt. Same thing with this if you look at it close. So just easy to make. Now, the other thing I had, and I'm sorting, even though things were special to me at one time, if it doesn't have a place in my life now, it goes. So I had this. I had bought this at one of my mom's bear sales many years ago. And I thought, does it have a place in my life? It's darling. I love that fabric. But will it go anywhere? I thought, yep. So I have it set up with some of my Valentine's Day things. Then I still remember when I bought this. And yeah, I was in my 20s up at Oak Glen. I remember finding it. So it's just, but it's weird because I have the antique furniture and this has pokey. So it will not sit on the antique furniture unless it was on top of something. So it'll sit right here on an old wood box. But what I am doing, because I don't want a bunch of visual clutter, that's what they call it, visual clutter. I have specific design areas in the front room. And I don't have a lot of surface space in this room because it's mostly tables, workspaces. So what I'm going to do is have a plastic box, and I'm going to have a lot of my props, are what I'm calling them, or displays. So like these are small things. So after Valentine's Day, I always have 1 or 2 of these around it with my mom's bears. But I will put these away, and then I will get them out next Valentine's Day if I want. And then I have a lot of things that I am putting in that 4th of July stuff. Christmas stuff is separate, but I have a box of just different things. So as I'm doing my cross stitch smalls and my little quilts around, I can change up my displays and have that as a fun thing. So that was one of my solutions. Then, oh my gosh, this is what I found. And I was not using this. A friend of mine gave me this little charm, and it's, oh, there we go. It's just a heart, and it just says love. It's the charm's love. And I made this, and it has a heart. Well, I wanted to sit it around, so I was just sitting it next to those little hearts and my mom's bears, because I just think that just makes me happy. Now, it wasn't on my thread thing. It was just sitting down. So things that bring me joy and make me happy, and it has a place, I'm keeping those. The other thing that's really funny is keeping the things that are special to you. Now, somebody else may see this and think, okay, it's a rock. Yeah, if you've followed me, you know it is a bit of a heart shape. Not too much, but it's a heart-shaped rock. But my son and his wife are adventurers. I am not. My husband is not. He probably would be if I was more. Anyway, my son and his wife adventure. They took a trip to London, and they walked. See, it makes me teary. They know we've never been much of like when you go places buying gifts, souvenirs as gifts. We've never done that. So he didn't grow up doing that, but his wife did that growing up. But they knew me, and they bought some fun candy that was only available in England. And when they came and shared with us their night of pictures and sharing with us their fun things, they brought us that candy and we ate it together. So that was great. It was consumable. This was a rock that these two precious kids collected for me. It was at the cliffs of Dover. So yeah, maybe that's not, they took a rock from England. Okay, so that's what I have. I have a souvenir that's a rock from a very special place from two very special people. That made the cut. That I'm keeping because it was precious to me, very precious to me. So other things that have made the cut are, I have bears that my mom was a bear maker, and she had many, it was a world that she enjoyed for about a decade, made very, very many special friends. And this was one of the things that I inherited from my mom. It looks like you can't see the eye, but it's really darling. It's small. It was one of my mom's treasures, and it's sitting next to a jar of old wooden spools, and it's one of my treasures. And then this rock sits next to it. So that's what I'm doing. Even though I'm getting rid of things, I'm very, very mindful about what I want to keep, and I am keeping those things. The other thing is, my mom was a huge collector of everything possible. I don't really remember. I don't remember her doing this when we were kids, but she had probably 200 thimbles. And then I found my grandmother's thimbles. So I had my grandmother's collection of thimbles and my mom's, and I was the keeper of them. And this is the hard part. So this is what I only want to share with you, because I think other people can learn from me, but connect with me in this and gain help from this. That's why I want to share it. When my mom was declining with Alzheimer's, we were in her sewing room, which was like my room, solid stuff on the walls of her collections. She had all her thimbles, and we never really talked about them. I wish I had asked her more about them, but like I said, there was a lot of them. And she said, "Oh, Bonnie, when I'm gone, I want you to have these thimbles and pass them out in the family." And I said, "Okay, Mom, thanks. That's going to be so cool." I don't know what I said. But I had those box of thimbles in my garage for years, 7 years. And I asked my sister, "Do you want thimbles?" She said, "No, I've got Mom's spoon collection. I don't need thimbles." And I thought, okay, so I went through and I had gathered, I went through all the thimbles and I gathered, oh, I wish you could see this one. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it. I gathered all the precious ones that I thought were beautiful and fun. And this was one I just love. And it keeps getting knocked over and it hasn't broken yet. And I have 2 of them that I can see every day. And then here, whoops, there, these are her button collections. These are some thimbles that I just put in a jar and I can see them when I'm looking. And then I had probably 150 that I needed to go through and decide what to do. So I've gleaned some out and I have some for my nieces. But what I decided to do to honor my mom's wish, because I cried as I went through it, because I was like, Mom, I don't want these. They were precious to you. They are not precious to me. So I pulled some out. Then I didn't realize some of them were my grandmother's. And did I pull that one? Anyway, oh, yep, here I did. This was during a time, so this is my grandma's, and it has her monogram on it. Look at her finger was huge, if that really fit, and I have a big finger. Anyway, sterling silver monogrammed thimble. So now I have this sitting on one of my other little curio things. But I gleaned through, and I cleaned up the silver ones. I pulled out the ones that were special to me, and I have them sitting around. The rest, I have these neat little zipper bags that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I went through and I cleaned if I needed to, but I just had all these thimbles, and I would put 2 thimbles in a little bag, and I put it all in a box with the boxes that those thimbles went into, took them all to the thrift store, and I labeled them what they were. I labeled the boxes, that's what they were for. That was my way of honoring it. It hurt. It was hard, especially remembering what my mom had wanted me to do. But I'm learning to let go of some things. For my mental health, that was a way that I could let it go to other people who they were precious to. I have the other ones that I'm giving away, and that's what I had to do. Did it cost me emotionally? Yes. Am I glad I did it? Yes. But yes, it was hard, but otherwise I would see it sitting in the garage gathering dust, and it was bothering me too. So that's what I'm learning to do, and I'm feeling the freedom of that. But I have been in such a groove of doing it that it's weird. It gets addicting. So now instead of sitting and stitching, where I think, oh, I can just sit and stitch, I think, oh, it's almost trash day. Or can I get a box together and get stuff down to the thrift store? So I am 75% through our stuff, which is huge. And the garage is looking amazing. My house is looking amazing. But that's what I've been doing as I've been going through this. It has been stressful. But it is very worthwhile. But also in this, I want to be very mindful. So when I purchase something, I want to think whether it's a cross stitch related, quilt related, whatever, even groceries. I'm totally changing the way I do everything. I want to be very purposeful and mindful with what I'm purchasing now. Hopefully I can stick with it. So I had gone to the thrift store, and I love wicker baskets. Well, this was only $3, and it even had a wire frame. So I got it home and I thought, well, where am I going to put this thing? And I looked around my room and I thought, I did it again. You know, I bought something I don't have room for, but then I found room and I found a purpose for it. So this is cool. I will share, this has my pre-cuts in it. So I will share that. Where can I put it down? I'll put it back over here. I will share that in my quilting that I talk about. Now, how far are we? We're 48 minutes into this. But I mentioned to you that I was going to talk to you about my Valdoni, so that's what I'm going to do. Now, I have a bookcase that I look at over here that I shared in one of my old videos, where I share that corner of my room. There's a picture of me in a shirt that looks like this with a quilt behind me. I have a really neat bookcase there of precious things that I love just to sit and look at. So I get to see that really pretty wicker basket, but sitting on top of it, and I'll share more about this in my quilting because it really is stitching. I collect and I'm addicted to color. So this, but if I have something, I want to enjoy it. This is my Aurifil 80 weight thread that I do from my applique. But what I do is I get to, it's on the bottom shelf. So I get to see this, but I also get to see those colors. And it just gives me pleasure. So, oh my gosh. Okay, 2 more treasures of what I found. When I was first married in 1983, I made my husband and I Christmas stockings, and it was so funny. I found the pattern as I was cleaning. $3 for a pattern. This is back from 1983. I made these Christmas stockings, and mine has the geese and his has the sled, but it was so funny. I thought, oh my gosh. I still remember making them and the memories of that. The other thing that I'm trying to figure out how to work with, I have remember I told you about my grandmother's attic? Well, there was a bunch of quilts up there. They were not a bunch. There was a couple, and I got them all. I would think I got them all because nobody wanted them. And one of them was a very damaged quilt. It was a mess. It probably had cats peeing on it. It has really thick batting on one end. But anyway, I cut it apart because there was a lot of damaged stuff at the time, and I sold pieces of it in craft stuff that I did. So I have been looking lately at the fabric, and I just adore the fabric, and I'm trying to think of a way that I can use this, but I've just had this sitting where I just look at it. I may make a pillow out of it, and I will probably get rid of that red. So, but it's very, very frail and fragile. So that has given me pleasure. So I'm saving the precious things, sometimes putting them in a pile, but then I pick it up, throw it away, give it away, or put it away. So that, of course, got put away. But that's been really fun to find some treasures and to enjoy them, especially things from the past and past memories. So that was back when I was 19 when I got married, and Mom and Grandma and I were up wandering around looking at neat old stuff for our first little tiny house. So that brings back all those memories. Okay, so now let me show you if I can do this with the microphone there. Here we go. So this is my Valdoni collection. Now these, I'm going to pick them up and show you, but they're a little heavy. But they are the drawers. They're called Muji, M-U-J-I. Now, I'm a collector, and I jump in and I go all in, and that's where I'm really trying to change. But when I turned 50, my niece and sister-in-law introduced me to the high-end makeup. And of course I bought the palettes, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So half of those are actually going back to my sister-in-law and my niece, so they can, because I don't need all those. So I'm really seeing the waste of money that I have done. But when I did that, I bought Muji drawers for makeup, because that's what all the other girls did that I would watch on FlossTube about makeup. Well, I have found that they are really great, because I don't have as much makeup. They're really great for this. I don't know that they're really available anymore, but there's a lot of different container stores that you can do, but these are Muji drawers. But I have on my bookshelf, if you can imagine, because I'm not doing Instagram right now, so I'm not going to do a picture, but I have I have 2 shelves of magazines and pattern books, and then propping them up is this. And I love looking at it because, again, this is a collection of threads. So this sits on top. This I'm pointing with my face. That good golly, girl, cigar box sits on top, and then you're seeing the light reflection, but I can just sit on my couch and look at these luscious colors. So my Valdoni Pearl Cotton collection. Let's just pick up one of these. Okay, it comes in 2 parts. So it's just acrylic drawers. What size it is, I don't know. If you get your ball of pearl cotton is just that high. So these are drawers that slide out, so I can look at them and I can see them, but they're not in the sunshine because that would fade them. They're protected from the sun. But when you are a collector and when you are addicted to collecting and having these things, they are precious to you. they're precious to me. And I want to look at them. I use them a lot in my quilting and in the different things that I do, but I like to have extra. I like to call it my store. And so when I go to stitch something, I want to stitch it right then. I don't want to have to go and buy one or find one, because these aren't sold everywhere. Generally, when I go to Colorado, there's stores that have them. Then Primitive Gatherings in Marietta, California has them. And then the Rusty Crow, you can just search. You can search and find them, but it's hard because the picture that you see is not always what it is. Well, this is my collection. So I have 4 drawers, and this is just my Valdoni. Now, when I first started using pearl cotton, I used the DMC or the Anchor. It has a sheen to it, so it looks a little bit more modern. It's a little shiny, but there was a store that was going out of business, and I bought a lot of them for 50 cents. So I've got a ton of them, and I use them. But when I'm doing my primitive stuff like this up here, I love the Valdoni. Now, size 12 is my choice. It's a smaller thread, Lisa Bongine, Primitive Gatherings. A friend of mine gave me this, but the spine was a mess. Okay, so this is My Soul is Fed with needle and thread, but Primitive Gatherings. So Lisa Bongine, she's amazing. She's a designer. She's out there all over in the YouTube world and everywhere. But she has a store, tons of primitive stuff. Now her thread of choice, I believe, is size 8. It's a little thicker. I like the thinner because I do the hand quilting with it, which is just the running stitch. And I use embroidery needles for my hand quilting. Now, when I went to, I went to a store and I was so excited that they had the Valdoni, and I was looking, and I was with someone else, so I was talking and I wasn't thinking. They only had size 8, and I picked out like maybe 8 colors that I thought would be good, and I bought all those. And then I realized, oh, that's not the size that I wanted. It's a larger size. So I do have some size 8, which is just thicker, but I love the size 12. So that's where I've been asked to share a little bit about my collection. So let me just show you, if you're a primitive stitcher, these are some of the color choices and tones that I have. Here is another one. So, and they cram in there pretty good, so they're pretty tight. I have some of the lighter ones, and they do sell collections. Actually, Valdoni and other places, you have to be whole. I bought some at Valdoni wholesale because I was a wholesale seller. I had a resale license at one time. But these are some brighter ones, and I inherited some of these from my mom. She loved brights. So some of these are inherited. And then I am also seeing the benefit of not always using, I love the variegated, but when I'm hand quilting, sometimes that does not work and I need a solid instead. So then these are my greens and my yellow tones. So this is my collection of Valdonis, and I love them. And sometimes I will just sit down on the floor with a pillow and I will just look at my threads. But here's one that I've been doing. What number is this? This is one that I have been doing a lot with. This is a darker brown. And then this one too. This is different color. This is 172. So 2 of the darker ones and the lights coming in, but let's tell you what numbers these are. This is 172, size 12. It is just the number. They have all different collections. Then this is 8121. So maybe the solid ones are just numbers, because other times there will be, let's choose, oh, here's a beautiful blue. Oh, I just used this on one of the quilts. So this is JP 12. That's another collection. So see the variegation in that. There's a lot of beautiful colors, but those are just some of mine. So the other threads that I have, it's also in a cute box, but I haven't used this very much. It's the Time-worn Toolbox design. This is the Aurifil wool. I haven't used It's not even, there we go, the wool. That's the only collection that I have. I have not used that a lot. But it sits up there and it's in a pretty box, and I will use that more, but it's a very thin, it's a much thinner thread. So I think that's good for this video. We'll see if I get another quilting one up today or not, because I do have projects that I need to finish up before it gets dark. But yeah, that was really good. Okay, getting through that. So that's where I will be back. I will take a couple-week break from cross stitching, but I'll be doing some other stitching and a big family project that I've got going on, but I'll be back. And I just want to thank you guys so much for being a part of my life. And I know I share a lot about stuff that I go through, but I have always been very transparent about my life. And I love that concept of being able to help other people. There's a verse in the Bible that says, comfort others with the comfort that you have received. And I love that because I struggle a lot, and I don't know that I've ever really felt like I'm alone in my struggle. But if any of you feel that way, that's where I just want to share with you. These are my struggles, but I am grounded in the sense that I grew up with parents that loved me and siblings that loved me. Didn't mean we didn't fight, but I grew up in a family that loved me, and I have friends that really love me, and I learned to be in a pretty healthy place and to be around other healthy people because I'm pretty sensitive. Now, I went on different tangents and I let my anger kind of control me for a while sometimes, and I got off on these different tangents, but I always came back grounded. My moral compass is my Jesus. And so my moral compass, because Jesus is in me, he is my Savior and huge part of my life, he is my grounding, my solid rock. And so I would always come back to, God, what do you want me to do? So that's what I want to share next. And this is what I call my good stuff, where I share my faith in action and different things that I've been going through. You know, we always have ups and downs, and we have different mentors in our life. And I was spending some time with a friend of mine who was just sharing with me just ideas of extra ways that I could show my husband that I loved him. And so this is kind of like a Valentine's Day thing. And then as I was cleaning, I found this. I have no idea where I got it from, but I looked at it. It didn't ring a bell at all to me. And I thought, I was just going to chuck it because I thought it's not my thing anymore. But I started reading it, and now I have had it sitting next to me. But it says, love one another. But it says, receive, edify, please. And as I was looking at that, I thought, oh, okay. So my husband and I have been married 38 years now. And we've gone through ups and downs. And one of the downtime in our life, about 20 years ago, we went to a conference at church, or at a different church. Our pastor sent us to a different church. They're like, go, please. But it was just a marriage conference. And one class that we went to, when we were struggling, we were like with each other. But that class, what we really got out of it was outlove each other. So instead of, well, he's ticking me off, so I'm not going to do anything nice for him, it was outlove the other person. And so that has stuck with us. And I don't always do that. Sometimes it's just like, it's not in the mood for it. But when I do, when I engage, it is always worthwhile. Whether or not it's received at that time, that's okay. It is a gift. So it's a gift, especially with Valentine's Day. So whether you are in a relationship with a sweetheart or not, you have somebody in your life that you can give a gift of love. And I'm not thinking tangible things. I'm thinking words of affirmation, an act of service, something kind, maybe just texting that person and saying, hey, I was thinking about you and remember the time that we did this and this. And those are the things, because here's the reality of our world. We know that a lot of people are passing away right now. And there was somebody that helped me do a very hard thing that I needed to do with my dad when I was on my trip to see him in June. She helped me fulfill a goal that I had at that time. And it was very, very hard. And she pushed me to be able to fulfill this goal. And she even came and she was at an appointment with me, but she pushed me, and she was a type A personality. I am not. So she got me, when we were talking about it, she got me crying at one time, and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "It's okay. When I get upset, I cry." And she goes, "When I get upset, I just want to fight." So we talked out how to deal with this situation. And her help got me to accomplish a goal that I did. This is for someone else, and that's why I want to share I don't want to share their stuff. She helped me to accomplish a goal. It took 8 months to accomplish this goal, and a lot of people involved in it. And the minute this goal got accomplished, and I got that phone call that said, "Yep, we're in," I called the two women that had helped me accomplish these goals, and they had had a lot of phone calls with me, a lot of help with me, but I called them immediately and thanked them and cried and told them how much it meant to me and how grateful I was. And one of those two people I will get to see in a couple weeks. The other one has passed away. And I was thinking, I am so glad I didn't wait to tell her. And I just left a message with her. It was a long message. I left a message with her. But she knew that her hard work paid off. So that's another thing. Don't wait. If you have something neat to share with someone, or just pass on the love that you have for someone, don't wait. You know, it's not necessarily like they're going to be gone, but we may get busy. We may forget. We may not be in that emotion to do it. But that's what I would challenge you. Valentine's Day is coming up. A lot of people don't like Valentine's Day. I have always loved it. Even during times when my husband and I were not happy with each other, I like Valentine's Day. It has to do with chocolate too. But St. Valentine's, we've studied him for homeschool. St. Valentine, study him. Find a reason to love Valentine's Day. It is not simply about feeling loved or not loved. It's a way of expressing love to others. So that's my challenge to you. I love you guys, and I appreciate your patience with me. There is so much that's been going on in my life that doesn't really need to be shared, but there has been a lot weighing on my heart and a lot that we've been through, and it has taken mental brain power to make it through it, and we are, and that's great, and I love it. So thank you for your patience. I will catch up on all these responses that I need to do, but thank you guys, and I appreciate your love and your support and your patience with me. So thank you guys. Bye-bye. God bless you, and may you choose joy nevertheless.